Okay, this is the globalist v populist, right v left political compass. I'm going to try to make this short and sweet because it's pretty straightforward. So starting at the bottom here, you have militias, right-wing militias and left-wing militias. These are the most populist that you can get. This line down the middle is the divide between the right and the left, which is in many ways artificial and imposed from the top down. Where both the right and left-wing militias agree is that the correct response to government tyranny is to tack up.
Let me tack up.
And arm yourself. Continuing on to the right, which is on the left side, it's a little confusing. We have ICE and the National Guard. I think we're going to see these two units turned into a personal army for Trump, and they are going to be what allows him to run for a third term. They are going to be the ones who subvert the democratic process. That's just a sneaking suspicion that I have based on what I've been seeing going on. I call this shameless street policing. The left-wing version of that is shameful thought policing. So over here we have Antifa, we have Black Lives Matter, we have the LGBTQIA plus movement. The right-wingers are political, the left-wingers are social. The right-wingers are also sadistic, the left-wingers are masochistic. More on that later. The way the divide and conquer strategy works is by dividing these people down here, which is everyone in the country with the exception of the power elites. It makes it much easier to funnel them into, assimilate them into a one world government, a globalist agenda. So down here you have the political realm, the social realm. Up here you have the intel realm and the money realm. So the intel realm is pretty self-explanatory. Intelligence agencies, government agencies, they run surveillance campaigns, blackmail operations, psychological operations, and disinformation campaigns. On the money side, you have the World Bank, the IMF, and the World Economic Forum. They practice disaster capitalism, embezzlement, they cause inflation, and usury. Now, the dynamics between these three groups are determined by BDSM. Rousseau once said, "Man is born free and everywhere he is in chains." This cannot be more true than it is today. So the way this works, if you're not familiar, the B and the D stand for bondage and discipline. The right wing is really into this. They really like to chain people up, to pin people to the ground, to say stop resisting. They just really love this. The best example of this is the ASMR deportation video that was posted by the White House. It makes a lot of sense when you look at it from a BDSM perspective. So the S and the M, I'm sure you know, sadism and masochism. The left is extremely masochistic, and they also really love to chain themselves up as an act of protest. This is a very common tactic that they use, and I think it's very effective, and I'll tell you why. Because the right wing is sadistic, and they love to put people in chains. They love to force people into bondage. They love to discipline people. So these two groups are really made for each other in the way that sadists and masochists are made for each other. So really this is almost like a consensual BDSM relationship between these two groups, where particularly in the case of protests, the left-wing protests, they chain themselves up. They force the right-wingers, they force the police to come in and drag them away, and they go limp. It's a very effective tactic because it exposes the sadistic nature of the right wing, and it exposes their obsession with bondage and with discipline. So up at the top, the D and the S stand for domination and submission. So globalists love this. This is the way in which globalism functions. It forces submission. It's all about a game of domination, essentially. The more power and dominion that they can have, the better from their perspective. And the more they can force you to submit, the more progress they make towards assimilating everything around you into a one world government. People in this quadrant have reptilian qualities to them. I use the term reptilian metaphorically, so don't get turned off by that, thinking I'm too crazy to listen to. Now, corruption is here in the middle, because these movements can be corrupted and turned into a tool for the power elite. I think of the pride flag being flown in Middle Eastern countries at an American embassy. This is a good example of the inflammatory, aggressive assimilation of other cultures into a monoculture, a global monoculture. On the right-wing side, you have MAGA and America First, which of course has been sort of undermined and co-opted in many ways. This corruption is what allows for the assimilation of everything below this line. Things become corrupted as they move past this line. A few years ago, I was at the airport and I decided to opt out of the body scanner. So as I was going through security, I asked the guy, hey, is it okay if I opt out of that scanner? You know, he kind of rolls his eyes a little bit and says, all right, fine. I have to pat you down, right? He's like, just so you know, I'm going to go in deep. I'm going to go all in, right? Like something like that. I don't remember his exact words, but you get the idea. Like, just so you know, I'm going to violate you is basically what he was saying. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. How bad could it be, right? He starts patting me down or really more feeling me up, I would say. And he goes all in. He really does go all in. He wasn't lying. And I don't think he was enjoying himself any more than I was. But the thing that I was struck by was that we are enacting this ritual of domination and submission when he has no reason to believe I've done anything wrong, right? But the system is treating me as guilty until proven innocent instead of the other way around. So this is the function that the system has. Down here, the right and the left are engaging in this consensually, right? They're engaging in this game where the left plays the submissive role and the right plays the dominant role. And everybody's happy. Everybody's enjoying themselves down here. They're enjoying the political game and the theater. And they're each playing their natural roles, right? But what happens up here is that everybody is subject to domination and submission at the hands of these people here. This TSA employee is feeling me up. He doesn't want to feel me up. I don't want to be felt up by this guy. He's just doing his job. I'm just trying to catch a flight. But we're all subject to being forced to act out these perverse rituals for the benefit of these people and no one else. And that's really what I'm trying to get to with this chart here. So, okay, that's it. The globalist v populist, right v left political compass. If you like this video, check out the human, transhuman, subhuman matrix. I think you'll like that one. Bye.